Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince and in this video we'll be checking out the interview between Prashanth, Neel and Baradwaj Rangan where they talk about KGF 2 and break it down. Since it was announced, I've been looking forward to this and I thought I'll make a video after watching it. But then I thought, why not react to it and share my thoughts as we go along. There'll be so many hidden details and nuggets that Prashanth Neel will be sharing about the film and I would love to hear that. The questions I have that I want to know from him is definitely, the editing style, the female character, the love story, which, was a weakling in the whole movie. Then of course the ending. Is he dead or not? Because when people are like, no, he's not dead, I'm like, he is dead. That's the only reason the story makes sense. Hopefully we'll get something about it. And of course, KGF 3, the future. What's gonna happen? Hopefully we'll get all of that. Do check out the full interview on Kalata Plus. Now it's a 1 hour long interview and I cannot react to the whole 1 hour and put it on YouTube. So I'll edit it out and only focus on things I want to share and talk about. Now if you want the full version, it will be available for the members. Because due to copyright, I cannot post the whole thing on the channel. Now this is the first time I'm trying something like this. If you enjoy, do like, share, subscribe and let me know in the comments what you think. So let's have a look.
Hello Prashanth, Neel, welcome to Galata Plus. First of all, I want to congratulate you for what I think is a rather emotional reason. I think you have in a way made Shankar Nag's dream come true. He dreamt of taking Kannada cinema to an international level. Now coming to KGF, it's broken across India, but you didn't have the kind of budgets that other industries have. When you look at KGF on screen, it looks massive, it looks epic, but you were still constrained by certain things, right?
To make a pan-India movie, Bahubali was out by then. The understanding for all of us back then was that, you have to have a very big scale. You have to have not probably established actors in every language, but scale was a very big factor. When we started making this movie, the scale of the movie was right in the story and we had to put in a lot of effort to make that world look real. Yash's stardom was there. We were still spending more than he had made with his biggest blockbuster.
That's true.
So we had to keep that in mind. But we had to achieve this particular world. A lot of effort from all of my technicians, be it Bhuvan Gowda, be it Shiv Kumar. We all had this agenda fixed that, we're going to do this in a manner where the world is going to look big, but we're not going to spend as much. And how we achieved that was with nature itself, Use a lot of dust, use a lot of smoke, use a lot of fire, and all these things. I think it was, it's misconstrued that we want to make a big movie, that, you have to put in a lot of budgets into it. And a lot of people have told me that, that people will accept movies for its drama. The drama becomes the scale of the movie sometimes. That, you don't have to put in a lot of money for something else. We just put in a hell of a lot of effort.
That's a very important thing because filmmaking is all about problem solving. You have a fixed budget, but you want to make a big film. You want to, because the story demands it, you have to show it as epic. And how do you do it? And them using different techniques, and that's where technicians come in. That's why you pay them for what they bring to the table. They're not just there to make the hero look good, and that's a big thing to take away from this. I always believe that limitations empowers creativity. Because they had lack of budget, they had to make such a big film, but with small resources. And they came up with such different ideas to use smoke, to use fire, to hide all of it. And that's what cinema is, it's illusion. You're making the audience fool that what you're looking at the screen is all real. And cinematography and production design is so important in that terms. In so many trailers, in so many movies, you'll see some of the set designs look so bad. They look like these are fake sets because there's no authenticity to them. And all these things matter, all these things make a film good. It's one thing to have a good story. It's one thing to have good performances. All of these things, the cinematography, the production design, all these attributes to a really great film.
The scale of the movie that we talk about is that, we have a lot of influence with Hollywood. The more it looks like a Hollywood movie, the more the scale goes up. And I think we were able to achieve that kind of look and feel with a very limited budget because of the technical knowledge that my technicians had at that point of time. We put in a lot of effort just to try and get it right on that particular day. I was very lucky to have a technical team.
It's also about the efforts everyone puts in. It's not just the director or the writer or the actors. It's so many people all coming together because they believe in this project. They're passionate about it.
I quickly learned something from cinema, that there are no teachers in cinema, but there are always students in cinema. You cannot teach cinema to somebody, but you observe what others are doing and you
only learn it. It's the same thing, right? It doesn't mean if you go and, work under and learn from Martin Scorsese while he's filming, doesn't mean you become a great filmmaker. It doesn't work like that. Even Martin Scorsese is learning from his every film when he does new films. I'm sure if you go to him, he'll not say, I'm the master, I know everything. No one knows it. At the end of the day, cinema is what you observe, what you see, what you learn from it. How a story is being told. What can you add to it? What can you bring to it? And how you want to tell this story now. That's what cinema is basically. And no one can teach you how to tell a story. Then you get that formula filmmaking. Do this, do this, do this, and it should work out. But most times it doesn't.
In a particular scene. And when you start editing it, you just think, I wish I had put a trolley for this shot. And I think I learned a lot of direction from the editing that I learned. And that sort of became my strength. I don't think that I decided to make KGF. I think KGF decided that I should make it at that point of time.
Wow.
So was there something else that you wanted to make after Ugram?
I wanted to make a very family movie.
Okay.
Because I did not get a lot of audiences to come in because of the kind of genre that I was touching. So I wanted to make a very proper family
That'd be
movie,
an interesting movie
like
to watch.
A Yajamana or maybe a Brindavana. My mother used to tell me all the time that, you put in too much of violence, that's why nobody's going to watch your movies.
It's interesting that both films revolve around a promise made to a mother, that is Ugram and KGF. Both films feature
That's true.
lawless land. Was it completely coincidental that these elements just repeated themselves, or?
So when it comes to the mother, I have a very strong emotion with a mother sentiment. I think that gets me every single time.
It's every Indian.
And that has been my biggest influence. Growing up, I watched westerns,
Right.
lawless lands.
Okay.
I watched World War II dramas. It comes to a setting where once you have a setting of
That shows in his work.
lawlessness, you always tend to get bigger villains,
Right.
and hence you tend to get bigger heroes.
That's nicely put.
What was the thing that brought about KGF? Was it an article that you read? Was it like a movie that you saw? Was it a story?
I think I've said this before also. I think I was very hugely influenced by the movies of the 70s.
Right.
Amitabh
Yeah.
Bachchan sir's
Agnipath,
movies.
very much.
And
The first
those movies,
KGF.
most of those movies always had gold smuggling in it.
Right.
So I wanted to do something with gold. And when I went on a shoot for Ugram to KGF, that's when I realized that it was this barren land, and people had stopped mining there, and that's when the idea hit me. It was very fascinating to know what happened there.
Right.
And then I wove a whole different story around something like that. The USSR and USA waging war, and how the gold prices went up. So I said, okay, this is a perfect setting.
That's true, because when you look back, right, how you got an idea and think about it, just so random. You feel like, no, there has to be some connection. That's why you connected these dots, and a story like KGF came out. But no, just suddenly you get this idea, what if gold? Oh, the gold price were rising, let's set it up there. And that's how you just, start writing and continue.
When you think about a mother, she's gone through all this hardship in her life, and she's frustrated, and she wants to see her son not being in her place ever. It's the kind of emotion that oozes out.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to capture that more than anything else.
Right.
I don't think we know what really happens in a home like that. I chose to treat it with frustration. That she tells him, her last words are that I want you to die a rich man. I don't care how you live.
Yeah.
Because she was dying a very poor lady. That's an emotion that the way we have treated that character was a very risky thing in itself.
Yeah.
Because no mother is ever going to say, go out there and beat the shit out of that guy.
Yeah.
You do this, become more harsh, more brash. Nobody does that.
Yeah.
But it all comes from human values. You study enough people, and you know that this can be possible.
Right.
And if it is possible, then you can put it on celluloid.
That is so true, because that's my favorite part of both the films, the mother-son relationship. And the way he says, right, like many people told me that how can a mother say that to a kid like that and everything. I'm like, just be at her position. She's gonna die. They have no money, they have food. She has gone through all those hardships. What she doesn't want to, tell the son? Like, just live like that, be happy? No. She wants to give a mission. Don't go through the same thing I went through. And she's young. She is not a wise person to say, no, have fun, enjoy your life, don't worry about me and all of that. And that's what we have seen so many times in cinema, where the mother does like that, but here it doesn't. And that only makes the film so refreshing.
You need power to make money. And then the boy asks, like, how do I get power? Right? That's become the defining thing. Why did you want those words to come from a beggar?
The boy needed to get it from somewhere. It was the most practical thing to put.
Interesting choice of character to choose.
Tell his headmaster to tell him something like that, or one of his relatives to tell him something like that. Because everybody that you are around you and wish well for you, they will tell you to just be put. One day you will become a very good farmer. The practical thing was to bring in a madman who really did not know what he wanted to say. Who was more philosophical.
How did you decide on the name Rocky?
So Yash had done a movie called Rocky.
Right.
A long time back. And I think I came up with a couple of
please tell.
Sanskrit king names, and he eyeballed me a couple of times, and I said, okay, I get it. And then it was just, I think it was spur of the moment.
How do you see Rocky as a criminal?
Very
as
interesting
an
question.
anti-hero?
Very interesting question.
Every criminal in the world will give you an explanation as to why he's doing it. And when you hear his story, you will agree with him.
Right.
Unless he's a madman.
Yeah.
So there is an underlying issue with almost everybody in the world today. But some of them chose to be criminals. And they are very confident in their head that that was the only way that they could have done
That's
what
true.
they did.
Right.
So I don't want to hide the fact that, he was a hero and, he helped a lot of people. He was doing this because he wanted it done. It could be because of his mother. It could be just because, he started getting the greed of gold. But for me, he's definitely a criminal. Because he's chosen his path. He knows what he was doing.
Right.
And whether his mother told him to do that or somebody else told him to do that, he's a criminal. There's no two ways about it.
That's a very interesting point, because that's one of the criticism, right? How can you glorify a criminal and this and that? This is a story about him. He is the hero of his film, of his story. That's what it's portrayed. A film's responsibility is not, for make people understand, oh, this is wrong. This is not how you should do. No, it's just telling its story. You should be socially aware and understandable that this is just a film, a story about this person, and not great things happens to him. It's an end to him by the end. He's not living a great life. He's just running away from death after every time he gets a new villains and everything. It's not a great life to live at no point. And the film is just telling his story. That's it.
Like his mother was there to start his journey,
but
now
there
there's
to
nobody
stop.
to stop him. Do you think that this man is somebody who misinterpreted his mother's wish and kind of set out
Interesting
on
question.
that one path, almost like a madman, let's say?
Your story point of view, I think it is very consistent with the character. It's just that his situation was very different at that point of time. He was
In KGF.
in KGF. He never took his eye off the ball. Him becoming a messiah was a byproduct of what he was doing
Right.
there. I think he would have sacrificed everybody for his goal.
Okay.
Right.
Yash was very clear that, that is how it should come across. He was improvising at that point of time.
Yeah.
Going to be a rowdy still. I'd get shot on day one in KGF. So he was trying to understand this world. He took 25 years.
It's like playing by the rules, right? If you're in KGF, you cannot be a don like you were in Bombay. And that's where, most hero films go. It doesn't matter where the hero is, he's a hero everywhere. That's where that's what KGF does. That's why I love that film, because it just plays by the rules. Hero cannot do everything at any moment. He has to also, go through the tough task, struggle, and then achieve something.
You can make a hero out of Pablo Escobar also. When you watch his story, he's killed a lot of people, but he looks like a hero. You feel for him when he dies in the end.
Spoilers.
And this is the earlier point that I told you, that criminals, when they tell you their story, you don't think that they're wrong.
Yeah.
It could have been a KGF, it could have been something else, but he would always try to get the world.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't settle for anything lesser. If it wasn't KGF, then it would be something else. If you ruled the most powerful place in India, that means you become very, very rich.
Right.
But then that changed because there's this hidden little place somewhere which controlled not just Bombay, but everything else.
Yeah.
That's the point, right? Throughout the film, it does such a good job. Like, I've seen KGF so many times, and I know that throughout, when he was, seeing all these atrocities around him, he was not picking the hammer and fighting people because he felt for these people. No, he was still thinking about his plan. And even the moment he picks up that hammer, if you notice carefully, he noticed something, the vehicles going in, like the plan he was making. It was the right time to execute it. That's why he picked the hammer and, killed those guys and used that to, get into the palace and the place and, get Garuda. It's like build up. His aim is one thing. That's it. And it's very clear throughout. It never deviates. It does nothing. And that's why, it's such a well-written film.
When you introduced Rocky to the audience, it's a mass hero appearance. Did you also want to show him like a captured beast?
I think it was, we wanted to give him a very good introduction.
Very good mass introduction.
That's what I love about him. That he's, at many points, right, he could have said, oh yeah, I thought like that. And, just say, I thought like that. But no, it's like, no, I just saw it was a cool entrance. That's it. If you're reading too much into it, great, but I did that was my thing. I'm not gonna take credit for what you are thinking about it.
I don't want to sound very intellectual and tell you that we probably wanted to do that, but that was just commerciality.
Yeah. Why didn't you just continue with Anantnag? Why did you say, I want Anantnag in the hospital and Prakash Raj to continue?
This I know
the
because
kind of a thing?
Anantnag
Because
didn't want
that
to do
adds
it.
a very interesting dimension of how people who become obsessed with one story, they become obsessed to the extent of neglecting their family, neglecting everything else, and that adds that character. Is it a very simple thing that you could not get dates or something like that?
Anand sir did not want to do the second installment, so I had to improvise.
Oh, wow.
That's problem solving. Okay, you don't have this actor, what to do? Introduce another character, but how? What do you want to add there? All these, like, there's a backstory that Anand Nagsata was so obsessed he never gave time to his son. Like, that adds so much to the narrative and the characters.
It could be a coincidence, but when we first see the heroine, she's in a gold-colored dress.
Coincidence.
It's a coincidence, right? Because the second time I saw the movie back to back, I was like, oh my God, this movie's about gold and she's wearing this gold-colored dress. But at the beginning of chapter 2, she kind of is taken hostage and he calls her entertainment. I found it a little strange that she did not say anything. Why did you have that choice?
So his intention was right.
This is something I want to know.
But the way he put it across was probably crass.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that was an excuse, but he wanted her to be very close to him at that point of time. Now, he was going to be the king of the world. He wanted a queen.
Right.
But he was never going to force her to do anything. But he wanted her around. Probably came across as hurting her, and she probably didn't forgive him for calling her an entertainment.
Right.
That character design is something that we probably lost somewhere in between because of the huge drama. We had to bring in a lot of adversaries into the movie at that point of time. We knew what we wanted her to do in the movie, how she was going to end the story and become very, very important for the whole story.
Right.
So that's probably not something that we designed perfectly, but I think it worked out well towards the end.
Again, a great point. He accepts that it didn't work properly. And I think most people have that issue with her. And again, he also mentions that he knows what Rocky said was not a good thing. And the film also, it's not making fun and making it look like, oh yeah, he called her entertainment. No, at that point, I've seen the movie 2 times only. At that point, the music is very different. It feels like the movie is being empathetic to her, that how can he call me entertainment?
They have at least one little conversation or a fight or something like that, where she kind of instead of her just rushing to him at some point and saying I love you, and then the love story starts.
We did have a different sort of an approach to it. Somehow it felt like we didn't have to really sit and explain that particular thing. It felt like an extra piece with what was happening. The drama was running so quickly. Things were changing so fast. He was changing a lot of things in KGF.
Yeah.
And that had repercussions elsewhere. And right in the middle of that, we had to sit and explain something like this. And it would have made sense. We weren't headed for something much bigger at that point of time. Adhira's entry.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was something that we already had put into the plot, but it was a different approach. Just felt that we had to remove it.
But there is a scene where like when he's injured and the guy from Bombay calls and he says your entertainment, and she says after that, yeah, I'm entertainment, right? Send me now. And like it is like a taunt to him. I think that scene makes the same what the question was, that is a kind of a scene where certainly the thing has happened. Like she has let him know that she felt bad about that term and that he didn't treat her well.
I know that it's not my proudest moment, the way we have handled that character, but
see, again accepting that
Adhira lets Rocky go after just wounding him, because he says, I want your people to see you not as a demigod, but as a mortal man, and you're wounded and you're falling and you're vulnerable and weak, and he wants to send him back in that state.
Send a message.
What is the reason Rocky lets Adhira go?
I think it is his ego. The way he lived his life is he never owed anybody anything.
Yeah.
He really never owed anybody anything. When he let him go for whatever his reasons were, he was also going to let him go, because he couldn't go on knowing that, that guy had let him live and he did not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Ego, right? Like, you let me go, I also let you go. If I kill you, that's not a prideful thing I can do.
You introduce Adhira and the Prime Minister in chapter 1. Why don't you show their faces?
We were still making a Kannada movie at that point of time.
Right. You weren't sure who you were casting at that point.
We didn't. And also, it's going to cost a lot of money for them to just come and do a single day's work.
Yeah.
Or maybe
see,
two.
Problem solving.
During that blind man incident in KGF, he lifts the hammer and you show a cross cuts to a number of things. One of them is a surprising microsecond shot.
I love, while he's talking, he's so passionate, just, his film going through his head and want to pick that scene, and, the excitement VR has, yeah, we all want that.
And our audiences are used to a kind of a hand-holding approach of storytelling, right?
Spoon feeding.
At any point, you to stand back as a member of the audience and say, am I going a little too fast for the audience? Should I slow down a bit here? Should I just extend this shot a little more? Or, did that ever happen?
So there's one person who always kept reminding me that this is also my movie. I'm not just making a Yash movie, and that was Yash. He kept telling me that, you're bringing in something new to the audience since Ugram. He said the way you've edited Ugram, the way you've edited chapter 1.
That says so much about Yash, that, he's not only interested, it's my movie, I'm the name, I'm the hero. No, he cares about the film. He cares about the filmmaker also.
Thought chapter 1 was very fast. Yes. I said, I want people
That's one of my issue from chapter 1.
Understand the drama a little better. So let's, not do all that mishmash. And he said, no, that's probably one of the reasons that people love the movie in its entirety, is because there's an essence of what you do.
Right. That's
so
true
don't remove
also.
That.
Because the film is so different, it stands out, It feels it's something else I'm watching. I've not seen anything like this. I think that does stand out.
Reminding me about this again and again. And sometimes I would take it out of the edit and he would watch it and he'd say, what have you done? Put it back. It's because of him. You should blame him or you should compliment him.
Speaking.
That's really good, man. Like, him as an actor having so much control of, no, do that, do what you do well, don't, listen to outside noises. Like, I was someone, when I saw KGF 1 for the first time, I felt editing was an issue. It was just too fast. I wanted to enjoy the movie, give me, like, slow it down. But then I watched the movie again and again and again, and I loved it. I liked it. I'm like, okay, it works for me. It's not bad editing. It's a stylized editing. And I think that's why in chapter 2 also, I didn't find editing an issue because I accepted it. Yeah, this is the style. They're going with that. And, you cannot complain about it. Just accept and move on.
Prime Minister was one of the first few characters that I wrote because I wanted a real challenge. And I just didn't want a challenge that looked like a gladiator movie. Like a real political challenge to Rocky and to more of his brain than his brawn, That's sort of a
That's
design.
Actually what I wanted.
What did you know about it? You knew that he was not going to be killed by anybody but himself.
Yeah.
You had the C, that was your plan from the beginning for the end?
Always.
Okay.
Always. Yep. In the first narration itself.
Why the sea?
If you look at it back in the 80s and 90s, nobody had dived so deep into the ocean.
Right. So that's actually a line in the movie. It's
a line in the movie. There was no other place for him to hide all that gold. He was dying the richest man in the world.
Because he was taking all that gold with him and nobody could ever take it from him.
Nobody could take it.
That ending was amazing. Like the whole arc, coming together at the end, like he dies the richest man. He, accomplishes a promise. That's his victory. Not living, not defeating his enemies, dying rich man. That's his victory.
I know many people probably thought it was louder than it should have been.
Yeah.
But I think we had scenes like that going, scene after scene after scene. We had some sort of drama representation, something that if we had mellowed down the music, then you'd probably complain about it a little more than you would right now.
At the very end, there's a post-credit scene where he's moving the files and you show KGF chapter 3.
Oh my God.
Is that just a tease or is there really a possibility of chapter 3?
There is definitely a possibility of chapter 3. That also comes out of compulsion. People have loved this world, they've loved this character, and we're going to keep it going. We don't know when, but we're going to keep it going.
You already have an idea for it, I assume.
Of course we have an idea. We had an idea for it a long time back, actually.
Okay.
But right now, we just want to take a big break from KGF, and we will definitely come back to make that.
So thank you so much for
answering
these questions because they were kind of in my mind when I watched the movie. And thank you for taking a time off your busy schedule and
thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
That was really, really amazing to know all these details, what he thought, how he did something and everything, because see, KGF is a film you like or don't like, it will be remembered for a long time, It had that impact, not just box office wise, but what it tried to do and, can of worms that it opened for the future Kannada cinema became so big. I'm sure so many will follow suit. It will become a film that will influence a younger generation of filmmakers, I'm sure. And it's great to hear from the director himself what he did, how he did, and answer some of the questions we had. But what do you think? Let me know that or in the comments below. Do check out my video on KGF 2. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. If you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.